I'm going to show you all how to make this very cute bag. This bag measures about just a little bit over 7, almost about 7.5 inches across, and about 5.5 that way. So this is just how mine worked up. So depending on what yarn and hook size and stuff you're using, it'll be bigger or smaller. So we'll talk about all the materials and everything that we use to make this bag. So for this project, we are going to need any type of yarn that you would like to use. I'm using a basic acrylic, most likely a 4-weight yarn. So you can choose whatever color you want to use. And since I'm using a 4-weight yarn, I'm going to use an eye crochet hook or a 5.25 millimeter hook. You're also going to need a needle at the end to help sew in any ends, and a pair of scissors to cut off your work, and you will need a button. I'm using kind of a medium size. You can use whatever size you want. I recommend using a fairly decent size for this project. You don't want to use a very small button, but you could. But it might be hard to do the little part where we do the little clasp to create the loop for the button. So I would suggest doing something big. And I got my measuring tape here to measure. So this button is about 1 inch. So I wouldn't go too much smaller than that. It's like this one is less than half, so I wouldn't go any less than that half for your button size. So now that we know all of our supplies, we will just go ahead and get started. The pattern is in the description, so if you'd like to read the pattern better or to follow along, I'll also have it in the video as well as we go along each step. I want to make a slip knot on your hook, and we'll chain 27. If you don't know how to do a slip knot or how to chain, I have videos on how to do both of those, so you can jump back and watch those videos. Once you have your 27 chains, what we'll want to do is skip the first 3 stitches, and we'll half double crochet into that 4th chain. If you don't know how to half double crochet, make sure to watch my video where I cover how to half double crochet. So now we did our half double crochet in that 4th chain. We're going to half double crochet in all those stitches to the end, and we should have 24 stitches. I just finished crocheting all of my half double crochets, and I counted and there was 24, so make sure that you have those 24. So it can be tricky learning how to count where your stitches and where to start. So we skipped those 3, so that's like us chaining 3. So you'll count that as your first chain. So we don't count these when we're counting our stitches. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So make sure that you have 24. Now this gets to be where our pattern will start to repeat. So you'll chain 3. So remember when I said we have the chain 3 there, so we'll chain 3 on this side. So 1, 2, 3. You'll turn your work, and we'll start by half double crocheting all the way again. And that's pretty much our entire pattern. So you'll do that until row 29. So you'll be doing, this is 2, so you'll keep going until you reach row 29. So the trick will be just making sure to keep your 24 stitches in each row across. So I just finished row 2. So remember, when we're counting, we don't count our chain 3 as a stitch. So we want to make sure that we have 24. So count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. So don't get confused by your chains. You don't want to go into those. So keep doing that. As a beginner, when I first started out, I wasn't good about recognizing what the rows were, because I could just count, and this is row 1, this is row 2, and count all the way up. But what I would do is I would write down the rows on a piece of paper, and I would cross off when I did the end. So when I reached the end of this one, I would cross it off, row 2, just to help me keep track when I first started out. So if that works better for you, if you can't tell where your rows are, you can write it down and cross off each time you do a row, or make a tally, whatever works for you guys. So I'll meet you guys at the end of round 29. I just finished crocheting row 29. So hopefully yours looks very similar to this. You should have a long rectangle, and your rows should be fairly neat if you've been getting those 24 stitches each row. So you should have a pretty clean edge. If you don't have a clean edge, you might want to go back and make sure that you're counting those 24 stitches each time, because you're probably accidentally either decreasing or increasing in your stitches. So you want to make sure you're good at getting those stitch counts right to keep it nice and clean. To do row 30, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to turn our work, just like we've been doing this whole time. And our pattern tells us to half double crochet in the next 12 stitches. So we'll be reaching the halfway point of our project by doing that. So after you've worked your 12 half double crochets, this part will kind of vary depending on the size of your button. In the pattern it says to chain 14. So I suggest chaining your 14 and seeing how that goes. So right now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's what the pattern tells us to do to 14. And then slip stitch in the next stitch. So I can already kind of tell this will probably be too big for my button. So you'll want to play around with it. So I'm going to do that and see. So I'll take away a couple there. You can kind of play around with it. So pretend that stitch is going to go right there. You'll have to kind of play with it for a little bit to see. That one just might be one stitch too big. So you can do it as loose or as tight as you want. I typically like to do mine a little on the tighter side just so that it holds better when you have it clasped. So it's just kind of up to what you want to do. And you can even practice actually putting your slip stitch in here and then seeing, because it'll be more secure. So you could do your slip stitch and then test it. Let's see if that's what you would want. And that's about where I would want mine. So let's see how many chains I did for that. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did 9 chains for this button. So for a 1-inch button it was 9. You may have more, you may have less. It'll really depend on your button size. So once you figure out your sizing, you'll slip stitch into the next stitch. So after you've done your slip stitch, and you'll half double crochet into that same stitch, and you'll do it all the way to the end. So you should have your 12 half double crochets, however many chains you needed to make your button. Then you should have a slip stitch, and then also in that same stitch is that half double crochet, so that will give you your other 12 on this side. So now you'll do a slip stitch, and then we'll cut our yarn to finish off our project. So just keep a little end there and pull our loop and pull it tight so it won't come apart.